Come and get started on a new mission, a new direction, a new intention. Welcome to 5.8G Alive at Connections 50 Plus. I am Terry-Ann Joseph Brathwaite.
And I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, catering to all your prospects in the third act of life.
Economic well-being, social gratification, personal fulfillment.
Join us on Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Connections 50 Plus Facebook page, YouTube channel,
and on Gael the Caribbean.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Connections 50 Plus 5.8G Alive. I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, one of the co-creators of Connections 50 Plus, and as usual, with me is my colleague.
Hi, and good evening, everyone. I am Terry-Ann Joseph Brathwaite, the other co-creator of Connections 50 Plus. How are you? How are things, Jen?
Well, I am more than in the Christmas spirit. You know, Terry-Ann, well, on this show, we're going to chat a lot about our great Christmas rally event that we had on Sunday. And, you know, we need to let you all know all about it and show some little clips, some little pics to show you how much fun we had.
Nice. Yes, we're really getting into the Christmas season. And, you know, I checked a memory on Facebook. And this week, last year, we also did our Christmas. It tends to be the last week of November. Yeah. So, yes, and I had one of our regulars called me this morning and said, Terry-Ann, I'm in the airport. Hi, Cassandra. I'm in the airport and I'm coming back. I see the thing is cancelled. What day is it? I could make it. I said, no, you missed it by a day. She was so disappointed. Especially because they're seeing all the feedback on the WhatsApp chat and so on. And it really, she brought a smile to my face. And as I'm saying that, one of our regulars, Cheryl Ward, who is London based, I want to give a special little shout out to Cheryl, who has been recuperating from some health challenges, and she's a trooper. She's going strong. And today I also got a call from her, and you know, we had a nice long chat. So I wanna shout out to those two very strong supporters. Cheryl would have been on the show as part of a panel. And I think Cassandra may have also been on the show. So two of our stalwart supporters who just missed out and called to touch base today. I thought that was really, really great, Jennifer. Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah.
Yes, Terry-Ann. So where are we going to start from?
Well, let's start by getting on a tribe, and let's just start with a little. Well, if you're asking me where to start, you know where I'm going to start. I'm going to start with the food.
Yeah, with the food.
So let's get to the tribe. So, Jennifer, I ended up preparing for something like this last week. We talked about all the ins and outs that got us to the place where everything was transferred to my home. And to me, Christmas is really hospitality. It is, and yeah. I really do believe that where you have people meeting together, and if there's nothing to eat or drink, and I'm not talking about the amount of money that is paid or the variety or the rate, I'm not talking about that. There must be libations. There must be something to eat, breaking of bread. So I always start there with what's the food. So for those of you who want to know what was on the menu, here is, we have just set up the buffet, and Cici Sian Caruth herself is telling us what was prepared. So take this in.
All right, so today we have Christmas rice. In the rice we have some golden raisins, cranberries, and some nice spices. We have here our lemon butter fish, our creamy pigeon peas. That's a staple for this Christmas. We have a vegetable soup. In the soup we have pumpkin, carrots, onions. We have our yummy ham here, fresh salad, garden salad, and our creamy scallop potato pie.
So Jennifer, that started it all. And what
Yes.
did you think of the meal? What did you think of it?
Fantastic. And I was about to say, you know, when you see at the end of the meal that everybody plate is clean, and some look like they really wanted to get up and go for some more.
And they went.
Yeah, they did. I was
Yeah, they went. Oh, they all the food finished.
because I saw some looking like the same wash this thing tasting really, really good. Every aspect of that meal, starting from, of course, the soup at the beginning, moving into all the different, and we had what you normally say was a 4-course or 5-course meal.
It was a 3-course. It was a
It
3-course.
was through.
We had our appetizer. We had our dessert.
Appetizer.
Yeah,
No,
it was the
yeah.
appetizer, and we had a very elaborate main meal because we had our turkey, our fish, our pigeon peas, our scallop potatoes, our rice, and that salad. Oh my God! Oh God! Yes.
I say 5-course. It was a lot. It was a lot. We had a great choice.
Yeah. So again, we want to thank Cece, and what was great is that she came, set it out, and people were able to meet her and to chat with her, and she hung out with us for a while. So no, that was excellent. So we really want to give Cece a huge thank you. Really creating a centerpiece around which we could commune and have fun together and all that. No, that was fun.
Well, Terry, I knew with the food, but before the serving of the food, of course, we created that beautiful ambience. And you would see from the photos, I mean, Terry Ann's home and space was ideal for entertainment. So we had a beautiful ambience. I love, I love nature. I love outdoor. So anything that's outdoors and, there are nice plants and talk about the scenery and the view. But we were able actually, because it started to rain, not that we panicked, because normally we felt that the rain will hold up. But so we were able to have the nice covered space that we put the tables and chairs so everyone can sit and relax and enjoy their meal. So that was nice. And then, of course, after that, because the weather held up really nicely, we were able to go out in the garden area and have fun. So for me, just setting that stage, that ambience that around us, it really helped to start off to create that festivity, that festive feeling that, we come out to party, we come out to celebrate, we come out to just have fun with each other. So we're able to sit, enjoy in that nice comfort, and then go out in the garden space and have fun, have some games, sing along, dance, greeted new people. It was lovely. It was really lovely.
Yeah.
And I must say this, Terry Ann, our cohort has a lot of energy. Yeah? I found
Of course.
very energetic.
Of course. Jennifer, one of the things, and I suppose we have the videos going. We were talking today about this kind of entertainment, and when things go awry and you have to divert from your plans and you have to pivot, as we said last week, sometimes you wonder. But this so much reminded me of the long, seemingly lost habit or practice of visiting. You know, when groups of friends just went to another's home, we've talked about this before, the need for our cohort to really get together. Just get together for 4 5 hours, 3 4 hours, 2 hours, and just sit, chat, and have fun together, which is what we ended up doing. Everybody nicely dressed, and we sat down, we shared a meal. We had, all right, I'm going back in the food and drinks again. We drank sangria, we drank punch and cram, we drank ginger beer, courtesy solo. We drank some wine, and it was just so merry. And again, one of the things that I so love, it is not, you have no pressure to show up with anybody. Show up by yourself. Show up
Yeah.
and have fun. Sing along, and my sons had such a ball being the DJ. DJ YouTube with a speaker box. Really choosing the oldies and goldies to have us really, really going. It really reminded me, and everyone talked about it, the ease of being together, being in our own space, just sharing laughter and fun, and just relaxing and not thinking about anything, not worrying about anything, just being spontaneous, silly, and laughing. And I think there's something so special about that.
I think also what helped, I mean, so only as you're speaking about it now, certain things we may take for granted. Because before we are using an external, venue that is more a public space. And I believe that when you come into, in this case where it was being held at your home, I think just the idea too that you're walking into somebody else's home, you feel like more welcome. It's much more intimate. And to me, it helps you to relax more. You feel like you just sit back and you don't feel like, okay, um, I am, I belong. Let me put it this way. I think there's a comfort to socializing at somebody's home as against, for me, as against a public space. So it's my belief that helped with that sort of community spirit, that everyone just embracing each other.
And also it
You're
was
moving
Christmas
around
time.
more freely.
And it was
Huh?
Christmas, and it was Christmas time. And it was
Yeah. It was much more the ease of moving around and greeting each other. I think that made a difference also.
mhm, mhm. No. So we did have a really wonderful time. We had a great meal, and we're hoping that soon we'll have. Oh, and you also did some games, Jennifer. You also did some games.
Yeah, that was nice. I think we really like the idea of playing games, doing karaoke, different activities. I mean, in addition, you're sitting and you're chatting, but when you have those extra activities that everyone could participate in, it makes a big difference.
Excellent, excellent. So we had a rocking time, we had a dancing time, we had a singing, no, not singing time, we were dancing, and you would see from all the clips, all the fun that was had, and we really hope that, well, I think everyone who was there left feeling that good, my Christmas has started on a really
Yes.
great note, on a like on a peaceful, happy note, which is very so different to a lot of the noise and the chatter that you're hearing on the media and so on. We just sat and had a wonderful time with each other, nicely dressed and so on. And that's the kind of thing that I like. I really like that kind of entertainment. And I don't know. I am hoping that many of us would try to recreate that type of socialization. I mean, it doesn't have to be a fancy meal. It could be the good old bring a bottle, bring a dish. You know, you pull your people. We've talked about this before. You pull some friends together, and it could be neighbors, and it doesn't have to be people who you know through and through. You know them, they're in the neighborhood, they're a co-worker, colleague, and just have a nice evening together. Everybody bring something and spend a couple hours chatting and YouTube. Well, a YouTube playlist. Then play it on a phone. Somebody will have a little Bluetooth speaker to project. You know, it does not have to be a long, complicated thing. Because Jennifer, again, we were talking about this. That socialization, that being open to hospitality, to giving hospitality to others and receiving it from others is so important to us because we had fewer children. A lot of our children are off and on their own, and we don't have that extended family that they have, remnants going into the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s with us. And if we don't do things to nurture friend circles, it's going to affect how we live.
Yeah, Terry, and I guess many of us who didn't socialize or entertain, I should say, in our earlier days may find it difficult now or may interpret entertaining in this big fancy way. What we have to look at is I would say how we want to entertain in terms of it could be just a few friends and you play some games. It could be where you come over and you just all talk. It is not in terms of, you don't need to do much. You don't need to do much. It is just about you're hanging with your friends. So I think this when you think entertaining and you have to do a lot of preparation, because to me long ago when you say, oh, you're entertaining friends, it means you have to really have the house in a certain way, and you have to have your eats and drinks and serving trays and all the different things that may put pressure on you. So it's no more like that. You don't need to do that. Just have the couple friends over and you sit and chat. And if you don't have, let me tell you, I do it. If I want to have a lime and you invite friends and it's about not, you don't have the money, it's not about money. You ask everyone, bring something. And Terry and people are always happy to walk with something. They like the idea that they're contributing towards the whatever you're having. So we can do that and don't worry about all the fuss that you believe you have to make and present in a certain way for people to be happy. No, that's not it. They could be very, very happy, in a very simple format. I just wanted to add that also.
Yeah. You could be happy in any format that you choose to do. Once you're inviting people with love and they come in with love. You want to come in without love, they need to turn back at the gate. If they come in to examine and check and measure, turn back at the gate. But once you are bringing people together, and this is what the spirit of the season is, that you come together
Yeah.
and you enjoy camaraderie and you break bread together, you exchange songs, you're playing old time music or whatever it is, you get up, you dance, you have fun, and you go and you just I think that adds years to our lives, and as they say,
It does.
years, it lifts you and carries you, and I think it is one of the things that is, and not face to face. There's no phone out. There is no phone. There's no external messages coming in to distract from each other. Everybody is just there present with each other, and that's an art probably the younger generations are not interested in, but we are at risk of losing that art. But that is a practical skill that we need to nurture and practice, and Christmas is the time for doing that. And I wouldn't get into carnival, but Christmas is the time for doing that. So I really hope that people want to do it and encourage, and not think that I have to invite you for Christmas. No, there's a whole month ahead of us in December, evenings, weekends, whenever it is. Get together and be sociable. Yeah.
Yeah, we decided my goal for 2026 starting in January. So I'm starting the new year by inviting a group of friends I have identified already who I will be inviting. And for us to sit, chat, and I'm going to encourage them that we will rotate starting once a month at least, that we will do a visit to each other's home, or that person would be the one to decide what sort of activity they want to do with the group. So it wouldn't be one person organizing that whatever activity it is. So I am hoping to encourage six, at least the group so far is six, because I have friends in different, I put them in different categories, right? So I am looking at those who I feel find it difficult to socialize or don't have at this stage the some people I say maybe shy or not used to doing entertaining, that this would be me encouraging that sort of I would say that sort of line, that every month so they will get an opportunity to, it's the same group moving around. That's my goal. I plan to kick off 2026 like that.
Nice, nice. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I think as I said, it is so important to keep those ties, because some people, you may have ties, some, not all. People have ties in their communities, they may have ties to their church,
Yeah.
and they may be busy there. Some of us still have our professions and we're busy there.
Right.
But I think that's the dangerous group, because this is what I feel, your professional circle is not a social circle, it's a work circle. So you socialize in and around work and work related things, but we sit back and kick back and just talk about your life and things that are going on and so on. Those kinds of conversations don't necessarily go into the work circle. Now, those who still working, they have a vibrant social calendar, because they may have a lot of work
Yeah.
functions, and therefore they are active and in everything. But sometimes we always have to think that 80 may come up, 90 may come up, the day may come when you have to stop, and there must be a balance. There must be a balance. So I think if you don't have that community circle, if you don't have a huge extended family that fills up a lot of your time and space, and not many of us have that still. And if you don't have that work circle, then Jennifer, what you're talking about is I think is great. It's fun.
Yeah. And as I said, I identify the friends that not still, I do have friends that still in the workplace, so I don't expect them to just take time off because, and that is just one of, once a month.
Mm,
So they're free to get involved and they still get involved in other type groups, those who belong to the other organizations can still continue, so it's just a way of that extra push,
yeah, yeah,
given that extra push to do something.
yeah. It is very important. It is very important to stay connected. And even if it's not socially connected, to be connected with your activity, your hobby, your
Yeah.
interest. You know, one of the things that I really and I've always said, everyone knows I'm very interested in food gardening, not the plants and they're there, but they I won't shout about them. But definitely getting back into to doing much more of my vegetables because I realized in the past 3 years since Mom's passing, I really did not, I have not gone back into it. And as you would have seen, everything is set and ready to go for that. But we've got to have, and I use that as a way of connecting too, because I usually plant way more than I need. And when it's time to reap and harvest, the distribution is a social
Yes.
thing. The distribution is a social thing. So I'm looking forward to that. And as we're seeing, you can do it in so many different ways. You can have groups around hobbies, if like our dear Kathleen who was on the show earlier, beautiful crochet person, people could get together and learn to knit, learn to do so. You might have a group that's lining, all right? And I may love my little garden in solitary, but when it's time to harvest, it's a social thing. It's like as the churches say, they have harvest. Everybody come together and share up what has been produced. And
Mhm.
you have skills. I think it would be interesting to do a little your knitting club, and all right, the sip and paints are still commercial things. You have to go there. But Jen, I'm sure people could over make us cards and you
Yeah,
paint.
well, my thing is each person when it's their turn could decide whatever they want to do.
I'm thinking
They could get
I'm
creative.
thinking not even that. I'm just thinking of different things people can do to
Oh
meet.
yeah, there are many things
Yeah.
they can do. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so it is important. It is important. And I think we should read our cohort and not our cohort of 5.8G crew, all of you who are out there, definitely hop onto our Facebook page, introduce yourself, say what you're interested in, and remember we have the WhatsApp group where you can join and meet people and chat and share ideas. And as we had meet, if you don't have someone in your home, you can meet in a public space like we went to the botanical gardens. The thing is
Yeah.
not to have a financial burden that gets in the way of socializing and hospitality. And there are many open spaces that we could use. I think that should be a fun idea, Jan. What do you think?
And as you say, you just come up with different ideas. And this Christmas time, I recall in my previous neighborhood, there are at least four of us who really love the Christmas. And we used to get together to help each other decorate the Christmas tree and decorate, exchange. I may have mentioned that before. Exchange the different Christmas decorations, those that we're not using, the other one could use. And that was so much fun. for us to just make the rounds, just helping each other decorate the tree or wherever they wanted to decorate. You come up with different things. As you did the picnic, you could go on a picnic. You could just go on a early morning. Again, I recall doing it with a few friends, very, very early morning. We took early morning walk, and we just went for breakfast after. All different things. It's just to decide, if everyone, and it could be three, four, could be two, you know, you decide what it is you would like to do and do it. We don't have to stick to the traditional way of entertaining. Yeah.
It's really about keeping the social bonds tight. I want to take the entertaining out of it because people may have that word is loaded. Entertaining means that you have to provide for and you have to have this and you have to have that. And, society may have us be there. I have to entertain. Something I have to do is work. But if we say, let's really work at keeping our social bonds intact and secure and make sure they're durable. Because in the next 5 years, and as I say, in the next 5 years, we may have our friends that we want to do things with. But I think we also have to think of how can we make new friends? How can we bring more people into our social group? And, there's our friends may be our age or older. All right. And if we look around and we realize that most of our friends are our age or older, we may want to begin seeing how can I get to be friends with some younger people? Because as we go along, if we are the survivor, we go to survive the older friends. And I'm not saying 20, 30 years younger, but within 5 to 10 years, and because you would have similar interests and so on, you may have people that you can advise, guide on life, people who have children getting into the young parent stage and so on. So you have so many common interests. So apart from your own friend group, we could think of how can we bring more people into this friend circle, and therefore in 5 years or more, that new friend from this year is an old friend.
We would sell our group of friends.
Exactly. Exactly. That is one thing that I saw my parents do. They're always in the middle and they would have friends that were older than them, younger than them, and their friend groups changed over the years as death, illness, migration, all kinds of things changed the composition of the friends, their friend group. And it was never a case that they, for their socialization and hospitality, leaned on their children. That was never the case. And I think there is wisdom in that. It might sound strange to some ears because I know it is a norm in some families. The family is the family and the family does not need external persons. But Jennifer, I think given the way our family structures have changed, that may not be very sound for us as we advance in years. Because a lot of us, if we have that view, may end up being alone.
Yeah, but we have, as I say, we still have the family circle. I say a family circle and friend circle. And with the friend circle, what about for me to the benefit, Terrian, when you get together and share and just chatting, things that you may miss that happening around currently. Um, you chat about, you could learn more, you could get information as to help you with certain decisions you may have to make just by chatting. You know, you feel that okay, I'm being heard, someone cares. It makes a difference. So I see that getting together. Family is always family. They're there with you. These are people you grew up with, but sometimes you want to go outside that family to get a different, maybe different views, and see what is really happening, around you.
Mhm.
Um, so I see there's need for both the
No,
family circle.
definitely. Definitely, and that's my point. And on a lighter note, I want to say something about that. I wouldn't call any names, all right? I won't call any names. But at our gathering yesterday, it was discovered that three people had no clue what the pensioners anthem by Ninja was. Three people
Well,
not calling names, and not calling names who those people.
yeah, and Terry, and you don't need to call any names because I'm definitely guilty. I own up to that.
They don't tell
I
me on the
know.
radio.
And you know what? Why I realized I didn't know, because I don't have my radio on. I don't listen to radio. That is quite interesting. And I yesterday, as we hang in, and that's why I say it's good to good
You
to
get
hang with them.
information, current affairs.
And I heard it, and I, nearly everyone, I would say about 95% of people knew it. And when I asked someone, but I always have my radio on, and I said, I don't. And they said, then what do you do in the day? And I had to check myself and say, I would listen to music, not to say I sit down and I would put on a YouTube the type of music I want to hear, and I will move around doing that. Somehow I feel, for me, I feel more relaxed that way, but I realize I'm missing out. So now I would put on all the Christmas carols and be listening to my own Christmas carols that I love. I love a soca parang. But so I feel in radio, I don't need to have the radio on. So now today I actually say, okay, let me keep the radio on now when I'm home and here was I listen to the news, but after that, that's it. So I really miss out. I didn't know anything about the what is it, the pensioners anthem, and it's beautiful.
One of the things again, and this is another thing that we have to be careful about. We get comfortable with what we're comfortable with. And the blessing of technology is that it allows us to be very selective and immerse ourselves. And it is not unusual for someone to not listen to the radio and not look at television, but to pre-select what I want to view or to listen to,
Yeah.
because it's what I'm accustomed to. But the danger in that is that new information gets filtered out. Because I'm listening to my playlist, I'm looking at my shows, I will binge watch. You could go onto cable or even the cable TV and select the shows and go back, look at it on your time. So you're not looking at the schedule. And I mean, it was a joke about the pensioners anthem. But at the end of the day, one of the things that socializing with different people would do is you might not want to be irritated by the radio or the newspaper, but when you meet with other people, you have different interests, and that could be a way of keeping you current and keeping you in the know about something that's going on and so on. So you don't have to go through listening to the radio and going through all the ads and the talk that you might not want to hear. You can still do that. But if we expand our friend circle and expand our social circle and have different people with different views sitting together and chatting. That brings you up to date and brings you current
Yes,
with what's going on. So you don't have to turn on your radio. You need to learn some more.
I know. When it's Christmas time, I put on YouTube for the Christmas tunes. Carnival time, I go to YouTube again for all the latest any calypsos and the music. So yeah, but I agree with that. You know, when you're mixing different people, you learn a lot. Because yesterday this is one that stood out. Yep, you know.
No the pensioners anthem. But it really is important. We had a really fantastic time, and Jennifer, we were talking about the importance of that, not just the event, but you sit back and you're able to look at the dynamism, the dynamic of the event, and link it back to what Connections 50 Plus is all about. And this is why we're talking today about how important it is for us to connect. And we may not be able to have an event every month. We will not be able to have an event frequently enough to satisfy the social needs of everyone. But definitely, we want to encourage you to begin looking around and reaching out, and the neighbor that is living next to you, but is hi, how you going? Hi, when you come back, and that's it. And there's no getting together is in the driveway as you're entering or leaving. And there's no like long time stand and have a conversation with the neighbor. There are many neighborhoods where that is not happening. All of the interaction is at the fence or at the gate while you're passing through your car window. That's not community. I don't think that's community.
Carrying and chatting, we also acknowledge that our cohort, the baby boomers, are the largest group right now. And I have found though that there are many different types of activities that being advertised and some things, a lot of you could go to country tours to different places, trips, those who could, you can do it, even if persons who are not interested in going in a big group or a big tour, you can arrange it. You can arrange that for yourself. They have the PTSC buses, they have the maxi taxis, you have the water taxi. You have so many different ways you can organize to go to the places that you want to go, and you get your group together. But there's a lot of activity, and I found many talk about the ecotourism and all the different type of things that coming up that before you hardly heard about, but now people are doing different things and creating the type of activities that they find suited for, as I say, for seniors.
Yeah. And we have to say thank God for the young people and their entrepreneurial bents, because they are the ones that are creating all these entertainment industry opportunities and organizing for us. Because again, we're not only the largest cohort, but we're the largest cohort with the most disposable income in history, of mankind, this baby boomer generation. And we are now I think all of us are now over 60. We are fully retired, because the earliest year I think is 62. The latest year is 62. So we would have turned 60 in 22 or something like that. Yeah, 2022. So we are all now technically eligible for pension. We're working on that. And we are coming into this, and why you would find a lot of marketing to us, because we had that disposable income, we tended to take much better care of ourselves than our parents and grandparents did. So we healthy. We are likely to live as long as or longer than our parents and grandparents did. We are likely to be homeowners or have very stable domestic arrangements. So it's not every 2 years you're moving somewhere else. Most of us.
Yeah.
When you and for most of the boomers also, because they were working people, their children are well educated or trained or qualified in some skill or trained, so they don't have they don't have a huge dependent family. You know, they don't have a lot of dependents, and they have time, so they could they in the entertainment market. Entertainment is a product that they actively seek out. So if it's not a cruise, it's a tour, it's theater, it's shows, they want to fill their time.
Lot of shows, yes.
They want to fill their time. So the world is designing. And Jennifer, what we were talking about too is that because the world is designing itself, entrepreneurs are designing processes to keep us occupied as we were in work. We could be very, very busy and very, very active, but still remain isolated. So you could very easily go on a cruise by yourself and come back and be by yourself, and you would have had a lot of fun on the cruise because somebody would have programmed that to have line dancing this time, come to the concert here, come, but you may not have made any friends. And when you finish the cruise, you're done. You go on the foodie tour and you had a good time, and you have a best friend for 5 hours. But
in that case, Terry-Ann, you should learn. If you know you're going alone to any whether it's on a cruise, whether it's on a tour, whether it's to any other event, I would think you go with the intention to at least making a friend.
no, a lot of people would go, some people will do that, but a lot of these businesses would be done because they know that many boomers coming out of the workplace, we talk about it, your social group is broken and you want to occupy your time. You have adult children who probably migrated off, and you were there with your life and your health and your vitality, and you're saying, oh, I want to do something interesting. So I want to go to Costa Rica, I want to go to Mexico, I want to go to Pichu Picchu, what's the place in Peru? Or I want to go to Italy.
My suggestion is not an advice. My suggestion at this stage in life, if I am going anywhere alone, because maybe you can't get somebody to go with you, or you prefer just go to that particular trip, just why go do all that and not make a friend? Because we are saying at this stage in our lives, it's nice to increase your friends. You know, make friends. You doing all that, and your intentions, okay, you look around, you find somebody you could greet and say hi and have a conversation.
I think the difference is when you go, you can have friends there. But I think when we're talking about friends, it's friends that are in your location, in your locale that you can go. I travel and we meet friends. We meet friends every time we go. We make new friends, whatever it is. But it's not a long-term permanent friend. So when you come back,
You can decide if you want to remain. You would know if you want to remain in touch with that person and have them as a friend, based on that connection you made. It may be you meet somebody and you say, no, I don't want any,
But
to
I
be
think
friends with.
the main thing is that it is so important, as you were saying, you've designed that friend group, people that you know that will continue over the years because your group is going to meet every month. That is not going to happen with a friend you who lives in another place or whatever. And I think there's a difference. And I'm not saying that people who travel alone are necessarily lonely. They have a lot of fun, a lot of fun. But at the end of the day, as we get older, we need to make sure that there is a core of people who are getting older with us, however we meet them. And those people most likely would be in your geographical area. Most likely be in your geographical area. Because as we get older, and I think of approaching our 80s, approaching our mid 80s, 90s, I don't know if I want to be on Zoom talking to my bestie. And that's how I talk to my bestie most of the time. Even if I don't travel with her, that's how I talk to her. So, I'm wondering, all right, we are both 90 and we there. And the camera, how you going? We still have to nurture that friend group in our immediate environment. I think that's really, really important. Yeah. So everybody has to come up with their strategy. Connections will try to do something once a quarter to get us together, but
You have to come up with what you like, how you see yourself in terms of aging, what you would like to do, the people you will like around you. Um, and that's important. We also, and we spoke about, we have been speaking about this several times, um, deciding up to where you want to live and who you have, can think of, I should say, to take care of you, or you don't say take care of you, but to take charge of certain decisions that you may not want to make for yourself. But we need to let somebody, some loved one know this is the type of life I would like to live. Because if you don't do that, they would know, Terrian. And we spoke about that in a situation, um, I know of, where I was, talking to my daughter and say, listen, why is why are the children not doing X, Y, and Z and making sure their parent, do the things to stimulate them and all that. And she said, Mommy, if they never told them so, they wouldn't know what to do. They wouldn't know if you want to go in the mall and walk around if you never did it or you never told them that. I think it's very important for us to chat about what we would like, to do later in life or even right now, the things that we enjoy, and surround ourselves too with the people who would be able to help us, do those things. So for me, if I don't tell my daughter, say, they see in me, they see the type of life I enjoy, and this is what I want to continue doing. I may not be doing it in the exact way, but if I like plants, then, take me shopping still to get some plants, and I have to get a gardener to deal with the plants. But you need to chat and express the things that you like to the people who you believe can help you do that. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Definitely. So you it's me of the joke that I'm preparing this. And it's funny, Jennifer, we work together, but we were saying too that our approach to entertaining is very, very different, but it ends up being the very same thing, you know? And in preparing this space for the entertaining, I left it up to my son and my husband to organize it. when I was out. And I came back and they're both sitting there waiting for me. And I'm like, where's this story? We have 3 hours. And I'm looking at them, I'm saying, but we do this so often. We do this at least 3 or 4 times a year. We entertain. In fact, it's the same set, it's the same thing. And I'm realizing that in their eyes, what they do for the family is okay, they prepare for the family. But for some reason, they had it in their head that this was not to be done like we do it for family. And they had no clue how it was to be done. So they were waiting on me to direct them where to put this table, where to put this chair, what to do.
To that, Terry, because they don't want to set it up one way, and next thing you come and you say no.
But at the end of the day, it was the very same thing. It was the same thing to do. So, to the point of, if I say just set it up, I had to be specific, like if we have in a family line. So you really have to speak to them and let them know. And I think it was just for for them, the culture shock would have been these people though not really into drinking and dancing and having fun. So they thought, what kind of different group is mommy bringing here?
And it's important in creating the atmosphere, but even the sitting, how it's set up, it comes like when if we are doing a workshop, for me, for a workshop, I need persons to sit down and either set it up in like a horseshoe setup or in a circle, because I like to move around and I don't want anybody with, sitting one behind the other or the back of me. So the same way when you're setting up and they're wondering, if his family is done in a very intimate setting, they're not sure if they should set it up the same way. And what you wanted is the same intimate setting, but you have to tell them.
Common sense, not common. Jennifer will find a justification for anything. I just put the common sense in common.
Very particular. I am very, very particular. Very particular.
Oh, Lord. But anyway, we have been chatting, and it is really, really important for everyone we had a great time celebrating the start of our Christmas season with our followers. It was great. I love the fact that we were able to be physically with each other, to hear each other laugh, to have conversation. You're listening, you're getting updates on how people are going, the families, the health, what the plans are for Christmas Carnival. It's such a good thing. But I think for all of us on a level, we need to pay attention to our physical friend groups and to build those circles around us, especially if we know that our families are thin. We don't have 6 and 7 sisters and brothers and 15 and 20 cousins coming out of all of that to carry us through. It's really important for us to look at our friend group and begin building out those groups, because they are a very important part of our quality of life as we get older. And we should not think how we are today is how we're going to be in 5 years. We're going to need people around us, and if we don't nurture them, they just won't be there.
Yes, Sarah, and Christmas and New Year's, great time to do this. We have reason, we have excuse to invite somebody, say, come over, because this is the time when we really have friends over to celebrate. So yeah, let's do it around this season.
Yeah. And then we go live with them for Carnival. Get you to go to the tents and the shows and a few parties, or have your own party. So
You know what I would like to suggest too, that we make an effort and just extend the invitation to at least one more person, at this time. So if we like to just invite family alone, maybe extend it to someone who you considered family and invite them along, especially those who be home alone. And there are many people who would be home alone at this time.
Yeah, definitely. So as we go out, you can enjoy another video of us singing home by Freetown Collective. We had a big choir. That's our farewell. Yeah. So enjoy it. And as we say, get a friend circle, do something, and bring new people into that friend circle. We'll need it in 5 years' time. Believe us. Okay, then. Take care. Bye-bye.
Right there. Right there. Right there. Everybody on the floor. On the floor. Right there. Right there. Everybody on the floor. Take me home. Take me home.
50 Plus Tribe and follow us from Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean.
Thank you for joining us on this Connections 50 Plus 5.8G Alive show.
We hope you enjoyed the lively conversation and look forward to seeing you next week.
Don't forget to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We really love getting your feedback. Bye for now.